Hi, I'm Jeff Murray, and I want to welcome you to Healthy Marriage Tips, where today we are continuing our series on dealing with trauma bonds. Today, the focus is on trauma bonds and strongholds. You may say, gee, I've never heard of that before. Well, not many people deal with it. In my experience in dealing with trauma bonds, they often form literally networks. It's almost like a series of castles or strong points that prevent you from making a lot of headway, because it's almost as if you start making headway against the one and the influence and the power of the other trauma bonds kick in and send you back to square one. And it gets awfully frustrating that they become a whole network, or if you want to think of it in terms of a web. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to take a little bit different approach. And in this case, I'm going to tell you an example, a story. I know years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Italy, and one of the things that you see in Italy, there's a lot of castles. Because when people were warring with each other, they knew that they needed a whole series of castles to hold on to the territory. In much the same way, you have a series of trauma bonds that form networks. And let's say, for instance, you had a network of a trauma bond associated with fear, trauma bond that of no confidence in yourself, where you can't do anything, and a trauma bond of procrastination. It's almost like a triangle. And as you start attacking one, you start overcoming fear, then that one of no self-confidence kicks in, or then the one of procrastination kicks in and sends you back to where you have to start the whole process again. Now, this doesn't happen in everyone, but in a lot of people, this is what makes overcoming trauma bonds difficult, because it's you get rid of one and then there's a couple more, or even more. Now, if you've got this kind of situation, of course, the first thing you're going to have to do is create a map of all those strongholds, because it's going to be hard to defeat them if you don't know what they are. And this means, if you have a trauma bond, what is the essential thing that gets triggered? Is it fear? Is it self-hatred? Is it the cutting? Is it shame? Identify what it is, and that takes some work. You're going to have to sit down and do some thinking. Maybe even get a sheet of paper and write out all the different things on it until you can rule out what it is. Because as your mind thinks, a lot of times it also starts to censor. But if you go ahead and write it down, well, could it be this? Could it be this? Could it be this? And have a list. You can always cancel out and then what's left. And what you're looking for is where those strong reactions kick in. What are the statements that people make, or the things that they do that have kicked in the trauma bonds? That's what you want to identify. And once you have a list of each of them, then you can apply some of those techniques that we talked about in the earlier sessions to start taking them out one by one. And at least that way you will have a roadmap guiding you through the series of changes that need to be tackled. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this brief presentation and overview of strongholds and stronghold networks, because that is one of the obstacles to getting past trauma bonds. Go ahead and put effort into it. Try it before you discount it, and let me know. And I'll be dealing some more with trauma bonds next week, but leave your comments below, and I'll be glad to get to them along with your questions. And I wish each of you a happy Easter. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.